South Africa finds itself at yet another political and financial crossroads as President Cyril Ramaphosa faces mounting scrutiny over one of the most staggering administrative failures in recent memory. Reports have emerged suggesting that approximately R3.9 billion in government salaries have been mismanaged, lost, or improperly allocated, throwing the nation's public service payroll system into chaos. The implications are severe, both for ordinary South Africans and for the presidency itself. The controversy centers on recent audits and internal investigations revealing that tens of thousands of public servants either did not receive their rightful pay or were overpaid due to administrative errors, fraudulent activities, and a lack of stringent oversight. While the government initially attributed the discrepancies to technical glitches within the payroll system, whistleblowers and independent analysts argue that the issue is far deeper, pointing to systemic corruption, negligence, and poor management practices. For President Ramaphosa, this comes at a particularly challenging time. His administration has been touting fiscal responsibility, economic recovery, and a crackdown on corruption as central pillars of its governance agenda. Yet, this massive financial debacle casts doubt on the administration's credibility. Citizens, especially civil servants who rely on timely salaries to feed their families and sustain livelihoods, are now expressing anger and frustration at what they perceive as yet another example of governmental incompetence. Political opponents have wasted no time in leveraging the crisis. Opposition parties and activist groups have called for Ramaphosa himself to take personal accountability, demanding transparency, resignations of senior officials responsible, and immediate corrective measures. The Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, and Democratic Alliance, DA, have both released statements condemning the administration, framing the payroll disaster as a stark manifestation of the ruling party's failure to manage public funds responsibly. Meanwhile, the South African public service is in turmoil. Hospitals, schools, and local municipalities are feeling the ripple effects, with some employees forced to go without pay for months. The human impact cannot be overstated. Families are struggling to cover basic necessities, essential services are threatened, and morale among civil servants has plummeted. Analysts warn that prolonged payroll instability could further erode trust in government institutions and even destabilize certain municipal functions. Experts suggest that a combination of mismanagement, outdated systems, and insufficient internal controls allowed the R3.9 billion loss to occur. Calls for an independent commission of inquiry are growing louder, with demands that it investigate not just the technical failures, but also any potential corruption or malfeasance involved in the scandal. For Ramaphosa, the stakes are clear. Failure to address the issue decisively could threaten his political capital, weaken his standing within the African National Congress, ANC, and embolden critics both domestically and internationally. In the midst of this chaos, the presidency has promised corrective action. Spokespersons have indicated that urgent audits, systemic reforms, and tighter financial oversight mechanisms are being implemented. However, for a nation still recovering from economic downturns, energy crises, and persistent unemployment, words alone are unlikely to assuage public anger. Citizens are demanding real accountability, immediate restitution, and long-term solutions to ensure that government funds are protected and public servants are compensated fairly and on time. As the crisis unfolds, the world watches a pivotal moment in South African politics. Ramaphosa, a leader often praised for his reformist image and anti-corruption stance, now faces a trial by fire. The outcome of this payroll scandal could define his presidency, reshape public perception of the ANC, and serve as a cautionary tale of how even the most seasoned political leaders can falter when governance, oversight, and accountability fail. The burning question remains, can Ramaphosa salvage his reputation and restore public trust, or will this R3.9 billion debacle mark a turning point from which his administration cannot recover? The coming weeks and months will be crucial in determining whether the president acts decisively to right the wrongs, or whether the scandal becomes an indelible stain on his legacy.